2 months ago, I decided to start learning how 3D art is made. I've always been intrigued by the look of it, whether that's on a 3D animated movie I grew up watching or just on an artwork I saw on Instagram. So without knowing what to expect, I decided to download Blender and give it a shot. That's what we'll be talking about on this video. My whole 2 months lazy journey learning how to make 3D art. You'll understand why I said lazy in a minute. For my first day, I was happy to be starting. I had just watched a video by Brandon Scalps on his 30 days Blender journey as a beginner. Seeing his results gave me a lot of hope that I can also do this. So I chose a tutorial he recommended. It's a 2-part series about modeling a bunny rabbit by Eve Scalps. It took me around 4 days to finish the model, but I learned a lot from it. Everything was new at this point, so I was pausing a video every 10 seconds and doing what she said, then playing another 10 to 20 seconds and doing the same thing again. I was that slow. But after finishing the artwork and seeing the result, it was in a way motivation to keep going so that I can get better. The second model I made was from a tutorial by the observatory. This was a bit more detailed than the first one, since I now had to also model some hair. All in all, the tutorial was more in depth, but I felt like the whole series was too long for me. This is when the laziness started kicking in. I was a week into making the model and I just lost all the motivation on the second week. I then spent 2 weeks away from Blender without even finishing the 5-part tutorial series. By the time I pushed myself to keep going, it was the last week of my first month on Blender. I didn't even finish applying colors to my model or even rendering the model. I just decided to leave it and make my own model for the last week of the month. I went with Robin from Teen Titans Go, knowing very well that I won't have to model any eyes. The first 2 tutorials I was just texture painting in the face details, so I didn't know anything about how to model the eyes and the mouth yet. After spending another week on the Robin model, I decided to learn how to make face features. I started with a Kick Buttowski face model, which didn't look good, and then a Cyborg face model. The Cyborg one came out a bit better than the last one, and this was after skimming through tutorials by FruitZeus and Killen John on how to model a face. I then went out on my own again and made the Raven model. I just watched a lot of Teen Titans Go growing up. This one looked good. I even applied material texture for the first time on Raven's cloak. I just couldn't get the hair right, but it doesn't show since it's covered by the cloak, and I also couldn't control the lighting to make the famous Raven shadow on the final render. But all in all, this was by far my favorite model. I even made it in a day. Next, I wanted to join in on the October challenge of making art every day, so I followed the next day by making a literally stone high five ghost model from regular show. It was my way of making something simple while putting more emphasis on the texture. I then felt a bit under the weather on the third day while working on the cool Rigby model from regular show and threw in a tower on the October challenge. As I started feeling better, I focused on experimenting with more things like the hair particle system to make Rigby's fair. Turns out my PC is way too weak to handle that, so I ended up with this. I still feel like I was in the right direction as the fur on his tail looks somewhat not bad for a beginner. When I finished this model, it was around the last week of the month, so to close off my 60 days, I decided to make a 3D model of this Garnet fan art from Steven Universe. This is what you've been seeing me do this whole video. I had plans of making this look good, but I feel like it does a disservice to the beautiful art by Doe Rodas. I apologize if I'm pronouncing your name wrong. That's the artist's username on Dribble. For one, I couldn't make the hair with the particle system since my PC was starting to act up, and I didn't even do the full hands with a gauntlet. But all in all, I enjoyed this Blender journey, and I definitely recommend you to learn Blender if you haven't. It's more technical than making 2D art, and I honestly like that. If you want to start your own journey, I recommend the tutorial by Eve Scalps, and making notes also helps while you edit. I know someone is probably salty right now because I didn't mention the famous donut tutorial. I just wanted to focus more on making characters since that's what I enjoy doing more. What I learned is that sometimes you have to Google things on your own because they are not well explained on the videos, or even watch more videos to understand. But I promise you, Blender is not as hard as it looks. I got more videos related to Blender coming up, and you really don't want to miss out on them. Make sure you leave a like and subscribe to see what I create on Blender in the near future. I'll see you soon.